Now, hang on. Didn't you predict this last year?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
You predicted this last year. Friends and enemies, everyone in between, welcome back to Bad Voltage Season 3, Episode 42. You have myself, I'm Stuart Langridge, Jono Bacon,
yes,
and Jeremy, I didn't think, again, Jeremy Zelensky Garcia.
Oh, wow, I'll take that as a badge of honor. And it's funny that you didn't think of it again, because I'm going to start the show off with an apology. We've actually had to re-record because a little bit of an audio snafu. So I know there's been a little bit of a break, Bad Voltage listeners, but we are back on our regular cadence now. No pod fading, just more excellent episodes of Bad Voltage.
There has been a succession of trials and tribulations for the Bad Voltage team over the course of January and February, goodness gracious, but we are now back, so...
We are strong.
Yes.
And the lesson that we learned from last week with this... audio issue is that the problem was that Jeremy took his microphone and he plugged it into a potato, and unfortunately it didn't record correctly. So don't plug your microphone into a potato.
I thought that's how these worked.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a weird time for technology as a whole. We've had audio problems. I mean. Seriously, I do need to apologise because the show was delayed for a long time because something fairly serious happened to me. I bought an iPhone 13 mini. So and very good it is too. Yes. So that's very nice. More importantly, I can actually reach all the bits of the screen. So that's good too. It's in red. Bright red. It's really nice.
You have a bright red miniature phone.
I do.
Okay. There is no comedy in that.
No, I feel like you're saying that with a tone of voice which implies that it's a wrong thing to do somehow, and it just isn't.
Yes,
it was more explicit really than implied, but sure.
That's like going, you've got a bunch of money and some donuts. Like, yeah, I have. What is your problem precisely?
I'm assuming they ran out of the Hello Kitty branded miniature iPhones.
Because what I should get is a plain grey plastic block, is it? No.
I think you should. In fact, yes, this is what you need, is a plain grey
and the reason I mention this is because that's what you both got, and it's just boring. I mean, get a case or something. I
do have a case in it, but it's see-through, so you can see the plain grey.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Get one with, I don't know, colours or something.
Hello Kitty.
Hello Kitty, if that's your particular bag, wouldn't be mine, but...
Can I tell you something? I detest Hello Kitty. And it's not so much Hello Kitty, it's the people who like Hello Kitty. They're all weird. People who like Hello Kitty are weird people. And I'm talking about Westerners. I know there's like a big Japanese kind of cultural thing around Hello Kitty. I'm not talking about that. I'm actually specifically talking about two people I went to university with who liked Hello Kitty.
I like that, how that went from everyone to just some, but a still large group of people, to two very specific human beings.
And if I'm being honest, it's really one of those two people. This
does feel dramatically like some kind of terrible insult that you've been chewing over since 1997, man. I mean, who the hell likes Hello Kitty stuff anymore? Do you also not like the fact that they used to carry a Tamagotchi around the whole time?
Wow.
I like Tamagotchis. They were quite cool. But Hello, oh God, there's something about that stupid cat with its stupid bow, that tie thing in its head.
Did you miss these rambly intros, listeners? Did you miss them?
And they like, what was that band that all Hello Kitty fans seem to like? Sleater Keeney or whatever?
Slayer.
Not Slayer. Megadeth. Sleater Keeney or Keena Sleety or Sleater.
I have no idea who that is. I cherish my ignorance.
They're a complain core band. Anyway.
I swear to God, I don't even know whether you've made complain core up.
I feel like it's probably a genre that exists, and I'm a little annoyed that I'm not positive it's fake.
So, what we're actually here for after our 5-minute long intro, which is meant to be under 30 seconds, according to the plan. Right?
Making up for lost episodes.
Yes. So, now I feel back into the very swing of the bad voltageness of 2022. We have predictions, which we have had since before Christmas.
Yes. I figured one would have come true like yesterday just to annoy all three of us. But
yes,
as far as I can tell, none of them have.
So I feel like, it is important to predict that, to point out that we did actually plan these predictions early on in the year at the back end of last year. So we haven't just invented new things, which is why my first prediction is the New York Times will buy Wordle for $1 million. So, no, more seriously, we swear these are real and we didn't make them up yesterday. Disappointingly, none of them have happened yet, I don't think. But should we have Jono go first?
Prepare for greatness, everybody.
Yes.
Here it is.
Prepare for greatness, because I have, as listeners will obviously remember, I have a great track record when it comes to this particular parlor game. All right, so let's start out with what I'm referring to as my VR bonanza.
What? Every year you've got a bunch of VR rubbish in here, and it's always rubbish.
Yeah, but this year is going to be different. Obviously. So,
okay. Man, the sun's risen. The sun's risen every morning the whole time. One day, my number's got to come up.
That's pretty much the logic that I'm going with. So, instead of having one VR prediction, I thought I would come up with a couple of VR predictions. And this is the VR bonanza. First of all, Apple. There's been lots of rumor about them building a VR headset and an AR headset. And at one point it was announced that they were going to bring it out this year, and then they said that they weren't going to bring it out this year. I believe that Apple will release their VR headset this year. That's one. So it will ship. It will be available to consumers to buy. It won't just be a press thing.
Not announced. I can acquire one. Okay.
It will not be announced. You will be able to go to an Apple store and have somebody with a neck tattoo sell you one this year.
And a man bun.
And a man bun. I got in a lot of trouble for referring to someone with a man bun.
Oh, really?
So I will not. Yes. So I think that person liked Hello Kitty as well. Anyway, the second thing is that PSVR 2, the follow-up to the PlayStation VR, will also be released this year.
Now,
right?
hang on. Didn't you predict this last year?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Yes, you predicted this last year.
But it will release this year. And then here's the key thing. Both will experience critical acclaim. So they will be widely regarded in the press. And people who have purchased them, I suspect that they'll launch later in the year. So there won't be a lot of sales around it. In fact, I don't think we'll have good sales figures to refer to, but they will be widely regarded. Both of them will get great reviews in the press.
I have interesting news. I am going to alter one of my predictions based on your prediction, but I'll save that for
okay.
I like that Ack and I are suspicious of your predictions in the same exact way as we, at the same time, ask the same question over top of each other. So it's good that we understand what your previous formula said.
That's interesting. I mean, I think even given all the supply chain issues and the fact that you predicted the PSVR thing a year in advance, so you just can't just keep predicting it will come out this year until it does come out. That seems cheating somehow.
Here's the thing, I can.
Wait until we get to the bonus. Once again, Canonical will and will not be bought predictions. That's also known form there.
But I think what to me is interesting is the critical acclaim part. Obviously, this is to some extent subjective, and we may argue about it a bit, but just coming out or coming out and being rubbish, you fail. So if they don't come out at all, you fail. If they come out and people don't like them, you fail. If they come out and I mean, I feel like critical acclaim means that if we're arguing seriously both sides of it, then that's not critical acclaim. It has to be mostly good.
So just, to clarify a little bit, let's dial in the specificity up just a tiny bit. Are you saying the reviews have to be universally, this is the best product in the category ever released? Or
not
just, this is a very good, excellent
I think
product?
I think this is what I suspect the reviews will say. First of all, I think for the Apple headset, and it will be the VR headset, not the AR headset. They won't release the glasses this year. I think people will say, once again...
they won't. They won't even get close to it.
Right. I think we're more likely to see the Apple car before we'll see those glasses. I think what they'll say is, once again, Apple takes a new category and just refines it and does a great job with it. That's what they'll say. They'll say that the hardware looks good, it's light, it's well made, the packaging is beautiful, all the usual kind of PR stuff. All the usual review stuff. And then for the Sony headset, I think that they will say that it will be a notable improvement on the previous one, and it will especially be the controllers and the lightness of the headset. So it will just get universally good reviews. Well, not necessarily that it's the best VR out there, but for that target audience of Apple people and gamers, it will be good.
Understood that. I have a question. Obviously, the PSVR 2, when it comes out, will have a huge suite of software. Everyone who's in the VR space is supporting this kind of thing. Apple stuff is not necessarily like that. And if the thing comes out and it's a very good piece of hardware, but there's not a lot of good software supporting it, what's their pitch, do you think, for VR? I understand what it is for AR. And they've done a lot of work with that. They've got AR kit in every iPhone, and they've had all the LiDAR stuff in there for years, and they're not just putting this in there for lols. They've devoted multi-year, multi-billion research money to this. The VR stuff, what are they going to do? It's surely not so you can just access Meta. So what I can see happening is reviews come out which say this is a beautiful piece of kit. It feels light and great and slick and better to use than the competition. There's just not a lot to use it with. And that to me doesn't feel like critical acclaim. So I'm interested in your views on that. Are you going to claim a victory if there's no good software?
Yes. I mean, I know we've got to move on, but I don't really understand why they're building a VR headset either.
No, I don't get it. What's it going to have in it?
But I think VR, this is a separate thing, but I just don't think VR is ever going to fully take off because people are sick of having the headsets on. I think AR will be huge.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're a VR person out there and Jono Bacon is saying it's not going to take off, just how far from the pack have you strayed? This is a man who's been predicting that VR will be the next big thing for as long as I've known him. Right?
It all started with Project Looking Glass.
I could say back in the days when I was like, what do you mean VR? He's like, X-Tank.
X-Tank.
It's a category that's a lot like self-driving cars, and it's like 2 years away forever.
It's the definition of jam tomorrow in the tech space. It really is.
Yeah. We're going to get a hoverboard soon. All right. So should we move on?
So there we have your two VR predictions. Those are meaty predictions. This is good. Yep. We can't possibly do worse than last year.
Absolutely.
So.
All right. Now, you were a little cynical about the VR one. All right. Try to hold it in.
Here we go.
And let it come out gradually as I do this one. Okay. Like just try to meter the amount of snark that you push out of your bodies. Okay.
Straight face.
There's been rumors about Tesla releasing a cell phone. Now, first of all, I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to release a cell phone. However, Elon Musk's other company, Neuralink, the people who build who are building a brain interface to plug people into the internet.
Yeah.
I believe that this year they will launch. Some people, it will be in beta this year. It will be available in people's brains this year.
Oh, sorry. I mean, carry on, Jono, while I take this gradually.
Do you remember how I asked you to hold it in and let it out gradually?
I'm sorry.
You were neither holding it in nor letting it out gradually.
Sorry. Do continue, please.
So There will be a small set of human trials where people will actually have it. I suspect here it will be people who are going to have disabilities, maybe spinal cord related issues, something along those lines. But there will be people who will have the Neuralink plugged in and it will work. And
plugged into their brain.
Into their brains.
Directly.
Yeah. Actual people using it.
So it's very rare that I wish this was a video cast. And the look on X's face when you said this is one of those few times. So I just want to start off.
It's not great. It's not what someone would traditionally describe as an encouraging look.
I mean, this is a bold prediction. Don't get me wrong. I think in order to match the boldness, Jeremy's going to have to be like, this year someone will eat Jupiter.
Go big or go home. And I suspect at the end of the year, I went big and I'll go home.
You've got big.
It is specific and measurable, so it's good in that regard. I struggle to understand how a company that has been promising self-driving cars since their inception and have not is going to have a thing that you can literally interface with your brain in the next 10 months. So I love the optimism, and it is a bold swing. It is a swing for the fences. I can't imagine.
Neuralink is not Tesla. But we're looking at Tesla just recalled half of all the cars they've ever made. Who is going to look at that and go, you know what I want? I want that guy to put a thing inside my brain.
They're totally different companies.
I don't think it matters, dude.
I think culture starts at the top, and he definitely has the move fast, break things mentality and ship things at unrealistic timelines. And if something is going to interface with my brain, I do not want corners cut in engineering. I will say that.
This is my key core point to all of this. I mean, yeah, the move fast and break things, I find that quite annoying when it happens to like an app on my phone. I find it quite a lot more annoying if my eyes stop working because of a bug that needs recall. Right?
So first of all, as far as I'm aware, your point about the Tesla.
Yeah.
They haven't recalled half of the cars. They've recalled 500,000 cars.
How many cars they made in total?
I mean, they sold 500,000. They sold 500,000 just in 2020. So they've sold more than 500,000 cars.
Their global sales, 936,000 in 2021. So cumulative sales.
Okay, 2021 then.
Yes. Yep. Okay. So cumulative sales were just over 2 million. So I apologize. A quarter of all of their cars.
There it is. Here it is. Backlinko, whatever that is. They've sold just under 2 million vehicles.
Yeah, so it's they've not recalled half of them. It's not a half of them; it's a quarter of them, right? So maybe I don't need that quarter of my
material number. This is not a few or a small percentage. This is
yeah, but the good news is that the Model 3 and Model S's, and it's not the Model X, which is frankly the most important type of Tesla car.
So, are you going to be a beta tester? I guess this is my second question.
Of the brain thing?
Yeah.
Well, I suspect there's many reasons why I would be excluded from that particular initiative. Yeah.
I don't have any response that isn't just me going for lulz here. I just can't conceive of this happening.
Yeah, the Neuralink central mainframe suddenly gets filled up with random Iron Maiden trivia.
I'm literally not even going to dignify this by taking it seriously in order to critique it. There is zero chance this is going to happen. Zero.
All right. I
mean, sure, I feel like there's a whole bunch of people out there who would be happy for Elon Musk to wire whatever he wanted into their head. And possibly he'll get a few people to sign on for that. But first of all, there are rules about this sort of thing. And sure, Musk seems to be discovering that when you do a thing and just don't take account of safety, what happens is all the rules make you recall it. But secondly, the rules about safety for things you're putting inside someone's brain quite a lot more stringent. And as far as I'm aware, I've not seen anything about them even approaching people to begin human testing on this yet.
I mean, no. I mean, they've made some reason.
If I invent a new type of sticking plaster, it takes more than a year to get approved. They don't put a Sinclair Spectrum in me noggin, for God's sake. No one's going to do this.
I mean, apart from inflicting untold misery on a bunch of monkeys, it is a bit of a ways off. But I get grief every year about my predictions not being ballsy.
This was a bold prediction.
Both of you, you've only got yourselves to blame over this one. I was going to say, you've only got yourselves to brain over this one. That would have been a great gag.
Wow, that's you are right. You get the point for boldness. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No one is going to accuse you at the end of this year of being chicken. They're just going to accuse you of being wrong correctly.
Yeah, well, I'm used to being wrong. I don't think I'm a chicken. All right, third one.
I'm very curious what you follow up the brain thing with.
I'm going to say, what now? The moon is made of cheese.
It is actually made of cheese. No. So Truth Social, which is Donald Trump's new social media network, I believe that this will experience quite a bit of growth this year. It'll be nowhere near how big Twitter and Facebook and, Instagram and whatever are. But two things are going to happen with it. One is that it's going to be plagued with stability issues. From what I understand, there's some company called RightForge is hosting them, probably because they couldn't go to like AWS because, for the same issues that impacted Parler and whatever else. So I think this RightForge group, who appear to be some kind of like freedom of speech hosting kind of thing, they're not going to be able to keep this thing. They're not going to be able to keep this thing up, and they're going to have all kinds of stability. They've already, since they launched it, they've had loads of issues with. It became the most popular app in the Apple App Store, and then no one could register an account. There's all kinds of issues. But the second thing, and this is not a particularly ballsy prediction, is that they are really going to struggle with extremist content. I think it's going to.
That's not even really a prediction.
What do you think they're going to struggle with it?
Hang on, let me finish.
Okay.
Before you both jump in.
I just added another bonus prediction to my list based on this one. So, real-time prediction writing in the works.
This is Jeremy's rapidly changing predictions.
It's not actually a prediction. It's just a big picture of Jono's face with a circle and a line through it.
So I think what's going to happen here with them is there's going to be the majority of the content on there is going to be broadly what we tend to see in general conservative media, Fox News-y type stuff, bit of Breitbart type stuff. They are clearly going to attract like the white supremacist crowd to a degree, who are going to go in there. And I think what's going to happen is it's going to put off a lot of just traditional conservative family values type people who won't want that kind of material on there. But they're going to be completely hamstrung by it's all about freedom of speech. So the, white supremacist lot are going to be saying, well, how come we should be on here because of freedom of speech? It's going to turn into a big thing. It's going to be different though. What's going to be interesting in my mind, it's going to be different to 4chan. So with 4chan, everyone's anonymous and anything goes, right? But with this, I think they are going to be requiring accounts and identity and things like that. So that's where I suspect this is going to go.
Okay. I mean, I can't really disagree with that. I'm surprised about the issues with hosting. I mean, if you stand up, as I understand it from, I haven't looked into this, but as I understand it, it's basically a Mastodon fork.
From what I can tell.
The source code, which
and they themed it to look exactly like Twitter,
and they hadn't contributed the changes back upstream, which they are obliged to do. Blah blah. People talk about that, but I'm like, whatever. No intention of getting involved with this.
Conservancy sue.
Well, that'd be entertaining, but I mean, I don't know how many users it's got, and I don't care. But you would think it wouldn't be that difficult for them to keep it up, given the fact that you've got, they've got a host who is presumably some kind of Nazi version of AWS or whatever, right? I don't actually exactly know what their deal is, but I'm assuming it's something like this. And, if you can scale the thing widely, it shouldn't be that hard. And they must have a huge amount of money.
Part of the reason why I think they're going to have issues with the stability side is because as other platforms like YouTube block some of this more extremist or just outright bullshit content, I think that's going to become the home for it. So they're going to have much more of a demand for videos being uploaded and things like that. And I think they're just going to face all kinds of issues.
See, this is where, I mean, without wishing to be all political about it, you're like, I think they'll struggle with extremist content, with the implication being that they don't want it.
I wasn't sure if the struggle was that they didn't have enough or they had too much. Or
I think what's going to happen is it's going to be
running out of
interesting
disk space.
I mean, this is going to be a real problem for them, and I don't think they realize how much of an issue this is going to be. And again, without turning this into a political show, you got to draw the line somewhere, right? And I don't think when the ultimate argument is freedom of speech, there is an argument from some people that you can't draw the line anywhere.
It's my understanding that they're already pulling down content, which is the ironic part. Someone signed up with a username making fun of the CEO, and they suspended the user. They've already pulled some other content. If you look at their terms of service, that's like the most stock standard terms of service, which says we will take down a whole wide variety of things. So I'm gonna save my comment for the bonus prediction. So.
Yes. Anyway, yes, we should. We're taking ages on mine. I'm gonna provide 2 quick bonus ones before we move on. 1, Canonical will not be acquired this year.
such a chicken, honestly. Right, this and the Neuralink thing between them make 2 ordinary average predictions.
They can cancel each other out.
But fair enough. Someone's got to do it.
I just don't see it happening this year. And then secondly, Meta's VR services will actually not be shit. I think they're actually going to get quite good. I've been predicting for years that Facebook Spaces will launch, and then I predicted it was going to be crap, and then predicted again it was going to be crap. I think Meta's VR stuff is actually going to start getting quite good, and people are going to start potentially playing around with it in trials at work, and then ultimately never use it. So,
yeah. Okay. Since it's a bonus, we don't have to be all that rigorous, but I would like to hear at least, the tiny fraction of a shadow of vigor. Like, how are we to know a year from now whether this prediction happened or not?
I've thought about this because I will try it and I will tell you whether it's shit or not.
I feel like there might be a conflict of interest there.
Okay, in which case I don't have an answer to your question.
Okay, no, I mean, I think, honestly, I would like to believe that you wouldn't deliberately big up a Facebook product that you think is terrible just in order to win a point off me and Jeremy, but I'm not actually confident.
No, I will 100% do that.
But I think it will be useful to have you test the thing and then come back and tell us what you think of it.
Oh God! I wish I'd not signed myself up for that now.
This is what I'm saying. At least I get the satisfaction that you had to spend a week inside Facebook VR. That's not too bad. God. Okay.
Surrounded by, well, it's not the first time I've hung out with a bunch of legless people, right? I mean, we've been out drinking. Okay, so
all of us with smooth skins, like we're still 20. Yes. Okay. So, okay.
Right, what's next?
Those are your predictions. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wicked. So, Jeremy, I think.
We'll go next. So my first one, I want to get in on the usual Apple predictions. Then I put Apple will, for the first time in a long time, release a completely new product line. I'm not sure what it will be, but if I had to channel Jono Bacon, and I actually did write this down, I would say something AR or VR related. So I'm going to change this slightly based on Jono's prediction because I don't want to overlap. The odds of us both getting points given last year is exceedingly low, but I'm going to
very low indeed.
The one thing I didn't fully appreciate in looking into this is the wearable business, which is the last time Apple really released a whole new product line, is much larger than I thought. Like they're on a $40 billion a year run rate, which is huge. I mean,
they're huge.
Well, AirPods and watches are the two wearables. But $40 billion, we keep talking about Tesla. Tesla is only on a $50+ billion run rate. AirPods and watches are on a $40 billion run rate. That's bananas to me. So anyway, I also didn't realize they're now outselling, AirPods and watches are now outselling Macs from a revenue perspective by a substantial amount, which also I just didn't appreciate. Yeah. So anyway,
I do you know? I don't actually know off the top of my head what the balance is between AirPods and watches, but my impression is that it's quite a lot skewed towards AirPods, and outside the US, it's a lot more skewed towards AirPods.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah,
I believe that. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm going to slightly alter this and put. I'm going to make it more specific. So I'm going to go with the VR that Jono did, but I'm going to say that it is widely panned and is not released to critical acclaim.
Okay, so one of you's got to be right then. We've got at least 1 point next year.
They could not release it at all, and then we both lose.
Oh, man.
So
now I have to predict they won't release it at all.
Then we're guaranteed a point. So, and the reason I think this, giving no thought at all into it, because I just changed my prediction now, is that if you look at Apple, they're obviously very good at making hardware. Like this, I think it will look great. They're not very good at software and services. And really, if you think of what VR is, it's mostly, like the hardware matters, don't get me wrong, but the experience itself is mostly a service based on software. And because they're not good at this, I think the service will be so bad that it is panned as very high quality hardware whose software has failed it.
That is interesting, yeah, because the thing I don't know is that yes, Apple are very good at hardware, but I don't know how much better. VR tipped over a point a few years ago where a lot of the what you might call the core problems with the proposition went away. There was none of this when you turned your head, it swished behind you. The thing took a half second to catch up and everyone vomited on their own shoes and what have you. And you no longer had to stand in a room surrounded by 4 big tall radar posts with a big thick cable connecting your head to your television and stuff. A lot of that went away. But I don't know what there is, which is the next step in hardware evolution to make it better than all the other hardware on the market, until you get to things like it just looks like a pair of spectacles, which is obviously going to be better, but they're not going to do it this year because there's no way they're going to manage it. It's still sci-fi. So I don't understand how much better you can get at I don't know what you might call the current generation of hardware. How much better can you make it?
It's not just about how much better can you make it. It's about the perception of Apple products and releases. So part of why it will be such a good quality hardware is because the perception is that Apple makes good quality hardware.
You can't go, it's going to be better hardware. What you actually mean is the reality distortion people will make everyone say it's better hardware.
Yeah. But I still think it will be panned in the end, which is the prediction.
I mean, Apple always perfect categories. They always do. Everyone else is first, and then Apple brings something out.
I wildly disagree with you.
The always is doing a lot of work there.
I'm going to say, how many HomePods have you got, Jono?
I'd say 9 times out of 10 they do. Look at what they did with the phone. Look at what they did with the tablet. Look at what they did with the watch. Right? I mean, look at what they did with the computer. Look what they did with the desktop computer.
I would like you to define how their computer is better than others.
The MacBook computer?
Yeah.
It's 100 times better than any other computer.
Well, then why aren't 100 times more people buying it than the alternatives?
Because they're really, really expensive, that's why.
So are iPhones, and half the people have got them.
Sure, but that's a completely different device category.
It doesn't fucking matter at all.
No, hang on. iPhones have become the new computer. Most young people now don't have computers. They've got phones and they only need their phones. Right? So far, you have, what I want to hear is your definition of Apple dominating a category, making the best thing in it, which isn't, I like it more than the alternative. No. My point is, I think it's fairly widely regarded. This is not a new thing that everybody else brings out the technology first, right? Whether it's a phone or whether it's a tablet or whatever else. And then Apple take that technology and they produce something that becomes a lot more desirable in the market. A lot more people are interested in it, and a lot more people start using it. Just look what they did with their watch.
I mean, Apple TV, that wasn't the case. There's enough counterpoints that I think it happens a lot, but not nearly always.
Isn't iPhones? Right. Yeah, absolutely. iPads? I actually don't know about figures on iPads. AirPods, absolutely. The watch, I don't know about
I consider
that.
The watch not a big success. Comparatively.
Yeah. The watch is not a success?
No.
Compared to what they thought it was going to be originally?
Yeah.
I think it's settled into a device that's like a fitness add-on, not the mass luxury. I think they thought they were going to compete with the Rolexes of the world, and they very much, absolutely, unequivocally do not.
Yeah, they certainly didn't. I mean, yeah, I agree there. Yeah. But no, anyway,
I'll certainly buy you that a bunch of categories they get into. You thought I was going to say the Newton or something, didn't you? But no.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go back that far, but we were all thinking it, weren't we?
I thought I could see them, and I thought I'm not going to say the Newton. But there's actually a bunch of modern
given
stuff.
This part of the discussion is not even prediction related, so let's reel it back.
Let's move on.
This is true.
I think we got that one pretty well understood. So next. I think that the pendulum on remote work is going to swing back and a bit more towards in-office work. And I got to caveat this with a couple things here. I'm obviously a huge remote work proponent, have been for a long time. I am, in fact, a remote employee. So I'm not saying that, to be clear, remote work is not good or will not increase in the industry. What I'm saying is there was a lot of talk and a lot of hype, and I think you're going to see people start to walk that back. And there's a variety of factors at play here. I think many companies just made long-term promises that they're going to reevaluate. And so my specific prediction is going to be at least one very large company, think FAANG sized here, who said that they were going to allow remote work in as many numbers as you want in perpetuity, is going to walk that back in 2022.
I totally agree with you.
So officially in public, back off of this. This is not some kind of de facto policy that you can't actually get a job unless you live near one of the offices. This is an official de jure. Yeah, we've changed our mind on that.
Yes.
I totally agree with you, Jeremy. I mean, I was saying this to Eric a whole bunch back when the pandemic kicked off. People have short memories. I think we even talked about this in the show. And when this pandemic eventually passes, and they always do, people like to be in offices with each other. They like to go out to coffee and lunch, and they like to spend time in rooms drawing on whiteboards and stuff like that. So, all of these companies saying, well, we're not going to have any offices anymore. Horse shit. Of course they're going to go back to offices.
I think there's more to it than that, too. It's not only that remote work is difficult if you're not a company built for it. Like, not every company is GitLab. But I think there's a couple things at play here. One, I think too many companies conflated working from home with working from home during a pandemic, and they are very much not the same thing.
That's a great point, yeah.
Long term, you will see a continued acceleration in the move to hybrid, and more companies will continue to support working remotely because it makes a lot of sense. But I think the other thing is, in the current term recruiting crunch, you're going to see more tech companies building out junior engineering levels at bigger numbers, and junior engineering remote is really difficult to make successful, and that's part of why this will get walked back.
I'll buy all of that. I mean, last year I predicted there would be a bunch of remote work stuff, and I would like to have seen that happen like you, Jeremy, but I think you're right. And Jono, when you say people have short memories, yeah, there was a lot of talk about it. The thing I thought might happen is not that people would remember what it was like. I thought there might be a step change where people would sell the office they had. So they'd be almost compelled to go along with it. And what we actually got was a bunch of people doing a lot of big talk about it, but not actually changing anything about their policies or their office, real estate purchasing portfolio or anything, which means that it will be costless to back off from that other than from a PR sense. And like you say, from a PR sense, people will just forget. They'll go, well, it's really important to be in the office. What I would like to happen, interesting word you used there, Jeremy, is hybrid. Given that we're not going to get a world where everyone gets to work remotely, and there are good reasons for that, Jono, like you say, people do like to be in the office and go out and get a coffee and all that. I would like there to be a world where if someone says, I'm getting a parcel delivered today, and annoyingly, the parcel delivery company won't tell me when it's going to be delivered. It's sometime in between 9 and 2. So what I'd like to do is work from home today. I'm not going to do it. I don't do that every day. I don't even do it most weeks. But I want to work from home today. Or what I want to do is I want to work from home today because I've got to go and pick up my kid at 3:00. And then I'll do a bit of work in the evening. So I would like companies to have a more flexible attitude to things like working hours and working from home when you need to, rather than going, no, you're not allowed to do that, or that being weird. If you said, I want to work from home, people are like, what do you mean work from home? That's not how it works. But now you can point at 2 years of a pandemic and say, we did it and it was fine. There shouldn't be a problem with me doing this. And hopefully companies will not immediately snap back to the previous, no, that's weird to ask that.
The big question is whether it was, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. The big question is whether it was fine. We're assuming that it was fine for these companies who had their teams work from home and everything was okay, but I don't know. I think for a lot of tech companies, people who are used to working asynchronously, it was probably fine. I think for a lot of other companies, they probably really struggled with it. Lack of productivity, stressed team members, burnout.
Yeah, I know a bit about the I know a bit about the legal industry because I know some people in it. And but a lot of that is basically you spend time facing the computer anyway. And a lot of the stuff you're doing is built on essentially shared systems. So as long as you're on the VPN, then you can get at the case management system. You can get at the practice management system. And so the fact that you're doing that on the laptop in your house didn't actually change that much.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping there's an increase in tolerance to people wanting to work in that I like hybrid as a word for it. I hadn't heard that.
I am surprised I did not get more pushback on this when I thought you both were going to think that was absurd. So who knows?
I don't read too much into it, Jeremy. We're just tired.
I would draw a distinction between things that I would like to happen and things that I think are going to happen. I think you're right.
Sure. Okay, fair enough.
I would like you to be wrong. I just don't think you are.
All right, so last prediction, and this one did actually get slightly modified from my original one. So I had one major tech merger will get denied by regulators, but that with ARM and NVIDIA really already happened. So I pivoted it a little to... I think the so-called techlash, and I have to preface this with I genuinely don't like that word techlash. It grinds my gears for reasons that I don't know that I can articulate. But the techlash will continue, and both the U.S. and the EU will pass pretty sweeping tech-related regulation that have a pretty broad impact on the industry. And I know right now it seems like the U.S. and the EU, even individually, could get nothing passed of this nature. But I think it's going to happen in both. Could be antitrust, could be social media, could be some kind of 230 reform. But I think it will be something that major and will have like sweeping type of implications.
Wow. Okay, that's a big swing.
What in the name of Scooby-Doo's testicles is a techlash?
It's in every article you read about regulators pushing back on the tech industry. It's a lash, but with tech.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I think I hate something more than Hello Kitty.
I am all in favour of the techlash for at least 3 reasons. First of all, I have literally been a consultant to the regulator here in the UK about aspects of this.
It's true.
Which is nice.
Yes.
Secondly,
you're part of the lash. You've been out on the lash.
I have been out on the lash against the tech. Secondly, I think it's a good idea, although I have some very severe reservations about the way regulators are going about it, specifically that it seems to be a lot of Facebook hatred and it's going to screw little companies. But thirdly, as far as I can tell, the word techlash annoys you two as much as the word content annoys me. So now I'm going to use it loads.
We do need some content around techlash.
Wow, now no one's going to listen to the show.
No.
Wow. This is like nuclear war on the bad voltage team.
I'm all in fact, this is a prediction that I would very much like to happen, but I'm skeptical just because.
So it's the exact opposite of the last one?
Yeah, totally.
Interesting.
The idea that anyone could get that to the fore, get that to the top of the thing and get it voted by the end of the year. I mean, it's already March, dude. That's a big swing.
No, it is.
And
we'll see.
Haven't you got midterms this year?
Yeah. What? No, that's why.
So no one's doing any actual work.
It's improbable. It's gonna happen.
But Jeremy, is your prediction that just something will happen in the techlash? It's not that a specific thing will happen. Like there'll be some regulation that will impact a large company. Is that essentially what you're?
Regulation will get passed in both the U.S. and the EU.
Both the U.S.
We're talking something.
You thought my Neuralink thing was ambitious. Jesus Christ.
I appreciate it. It's not an easy. It's not a layup, but I still think it'll happen.
I mean, I think they are qualitatively different. The Neuralink thing is just ridiculous and stupid. This is something where literally everyone involved will be like, yeah, I want this to happen. And then it won't happen anyway because someone has to fill out another form 400 days on the bounce.
Well, I mean, at least with the Neuralink thing, like that's within reasonably within.
All that does is violate science, physics, and human behaviour. This violates the way the law works.
Yeah. Isn't that what regulators do? I think Jeremy's been smoking something from the tech stash, is my kind of take on this one. I don't know.
Oh, boy.
Well, I mean, I God willing and the creek don't rise, this will happen. Good. Make it so, Jeremy. I like it.
Right, yeah. So on to the bonus predictions. So I added one.
All right.
And that one is Truth Social will shut down before the end of the year.
Nice. Nice.
I think they will have scaling problems. I think it will not get the press that he had hoped for, and because he is a bit capricious at times and likes things to be, in his eyes, successful, he'll view it as a failure and want nothing to do with it and get rid of it.
I think that's a very good argument, that if it doesn't become like the big central hub for things, it'll get shut down. It takes off in the first 5 minutes, or it gets binned.
Yep.
Well, he's already had a go at one social media network from the desk of Donald J. Trump, and that didn't work out very well. That lasted about 2.5 minutes.
And it has vanished like a fart in the wind. Where is it now?
Although I think the difference here is that was probably put together by some team at Trump Tower. If I remember right, Devin Nunes, the congressman or senator or whatever, is running tech. He's
the CEO of whatever the name of the company is.
He's the CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he would have gone to do that. I think he'd be expecting a certain amount of tenure there. And the fact that clearly Trump is probably going to run in the next election, what I suspect will happen here is they won't shut down, but what they'll do is they'll double down. They'll probably put a shitload of advertising into it to drive as many registrants as they can. Because he's going to see that as the place where he can access his
Closed it down.
One of us is going to be wrong.
Yeah. I think this is, I mean, you know.
Actually, we could be both right. It could have loads of stability issues. It could have problems with extremist content and therefore get shut down.
Yeah.
In which case, we will be glorious.
and importantly, if that happens, we're all winners.
We will set records for points. Right. So then I usually have one or two financial related ones, so I'll keep that theme going. GameStop stock will, for reasons I don't fully understand, remain above $100 at the end of the year, which is just madness. And inflation, which they're predicting to be 7-8% plus, will end the year below 5%.
Okay, I have no frame of reference for the GameStop thing. Like, I don't know whether that's Neuralink levels of unlikely or whether it's already happened 4 times this year or what.
You can't say Neuralink levels of unlikely. I don't like the way you're framing.
No, wait, that's a new saying. We're getting that into the regular vernacular here. And then for the last one, I figured I'll do another, a little bit of a swing. Zuckerberg will no longer be CEO of Meta, which just annoys me.
Ooh, that is...
Maybe because the regulators will break him up.
Now, hang on. Is he gone? Or if he steps aside and becomes like emeritus chairman for life or something, does that count?
I could see him staying on the board, but he will not be CEO.
He won't be in charge. Okay. Oh man, I don't even know what, John.
I don't think that's going to happen.
So this one is, to be fair, quite unlikely. But I'm sticking with it.
I just don't think they would have announced. They would have announced his stupid metaverse thing, and then he steps down. Clearly, he's excited about this. Is clearly rekindled his excitement in the company.
The question is, how long can he keep the momentum going on something? If, to take a hypothetical example, if it gets released to the public and then dies on its arse and it wipes off all of their money, right? How long can he keep going with the, I want to make this happen, let's make it happen, even though no one cares, if it turns out that that's the case?
I think they'll give it at least 2 or 3 years.
You think? Okay.
Yeah. This is not Google we're talking about. It's not like Stadia that lasts 2.5 minutes.
Well, yeah, it's true. This is very true, actually.
Stadia.
It's not like, they're going to run out of money or anything. So
what a knowable failure that was.
People still advertising like crazy on Facebook despite all of the iOS changes.
No such thing as Facebook, man. It's Meta now.
Mm-hmm. All right, 2 out of 3 down, which means you, sir, are up.
All right, Langridge.
Okay, my go. Right. Okay. So, what we could do is I could just read through these, then we could go, okay, we all agree, and then we just go home, right? So we're good.
Yeah, because of all the things that's totally going to happen, that's totally going to happen.
Well, it appears, interestingly, it's now obligatory to start with an Apple one because I did as well. So
nice.
Oh, nice.
So by the end of the year, and I don't know, so I'm going for it's a one or the other thing because I don't know which, but I think I'll get away with this.
My prediction will either be correct or incorrect.
It's not
excellent work, Langridge.
Not quite that much of a Morton's fork. By the end of this year, on iOS, Apple will either allow third-party browser engines or they'll allow side-loading of apps.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
And I don't know which, but it's going to be one of them.
Interesting. So the side loading I would have dismissed out of hand if we would have done this in January, and I don't know. I still think it's wildly unlikely, but I won't.
Wow, you see. I mean,
to pull a phrase that I think should become a phrase, it is not Neuralink levels of unlikely.
Stop it. Stop it.
I mean, I don't think that they'll allow side loading, and they certainly don't want to.
No, they 100%
don't.
don't.
But I think the reason I'm putting both of them up is intuitively you feel like Apple are not going to allow that because it's like a loss of control, whatever. But I feel like if they allow third-party browser engines, the thing they fear, well, the reason they do any of this stuff rather than just going, we're not doing any of it, bite me, regulators, is because they're getting loads of pressure
the
from
disappointing
all
thing
over
here
the globe.
Is and I think the ultimate failure of Tim Cook will be if they would have gave an inch here, they would have only had to give an inch, and now they're going to get regulated to a foot. Like, I don't understand their absolute resistance to give anything.
Yeah, I totally
the
agree.
thing in the Netherlands where they went, dating apps, you can now take payments out, so I think you have to tie 30% of them to us anyway.
Instead, it's basically 27%.
That's like ridiculous. A regulator goes, okay, we're going to enforce something on you because you're doing this. And Apple went, okay, what we're going to do is teabag all of the regulator people. Right? It's just designed to make regulators hate you. And they're going to go, okay, you think you're a big deal because you're a big company, but we're literally the government. We're just not going to allow this. Get stuffed. And I think if someone at Apple is thinking semi-clearly, right, instead of allowing third-party browser engines, allowing people to bill outside the App Store, all this kind of thing, if they just say, okay, we're going to allow side loading, but it's like it is on Android. So, and they don't have to do anything technical for this. They can just say, okay.
So you think they'll use marketing and social pressure to make it not acceptable to sideload?
Yes. What they'll do is they'll say, okay, you've got to turn this on in the settings, just like on Android. And then they'll say, okay, so if the people who do side loading all gather on a forum like XDA, and this seems like a weird thing to do, and it's for super techies and people who want to switch out the Wi-Fi stack and stuff like that. The sort of people who do custom Android ROMs at the moment, Apple aren't going to care. That's not affecting their bottom line. It's not affecting their public perception. Nothing. And then they can go to every regulator. Not our problem. There's no need to make us do anything else now, because anyone who has a problem with our policy can just do that. Obviously, if you turn that off, then you don't get Netflix, and you don't get all the big gains, but then Android's exactly the same. You don't get your banking apps, none of that, but now you can do it. It would be quite a smart way to defuse all of the regulatory stuff, but
I don't think they have it in them culturally.
I don't think they have it in them culturally either. I think, here I am, consultant to Apple, right? Tim, you want to ring me up and have me explain this to you for £100,000 a day? I'll do it. But if you're prepared to
generous offer,
give okay, 50,000 a day. But if they're prepared to go, okay, we will give up a semblance of control in our own eyes, which is not actually giving up any control big picture, we can diffuse all of these problems. To me, this seems like the obvious solution. Their big issue with it will be if they do that and then half a dozen big players get on board, so everyone starts using side-loaded apps. Some people will do it for Chrome, some people might do it for Fortnite, but some people might, if Netflix do it, for example, a lot of people will do it for Netflix, and Netflix will do it so they don't. The issue is that people will do it in order to avoid tithing 30%.
Yeah.
I think they're both unlikely, but I get the prediction. I like the spirit of it. I think Apple's going to go down swinging.
I don't think either are going to happen. Yeah, I agree.
I honestly don't know how much of this stuff is that I want things to happen. I mean, I don't even want those. I'd be happy if you made Safari really good, Apple. Right? Try and make it the best browser. Anyway, end of prediction. Well, okay, so I'm using Firefox on but it's actually Safari under the covers, as you know.
You use Firefox?
On my iPhone, yeah. But it's actually Safari, obviously.
Right.
Because all browsers are Safari. But
Conqueror.
well, yeah, KHTML
K.
for the win. Okay, end of prediction. Now, the second one I predict is going to be one where you're going to go, what? And part of the reason I'm bringing this up is because I feel like this ought to be a bigger deal than it is. Have you heard of Matter?
No.
Okay. I hadn't either until I started doing research back end of last year. It used to be called Project Chip. It is essentially a common protocol for talking to and controlling IoT things. Right? And you think, well, whatever, right? Someone wrote a PDF and put it on GitHub. That doesn't seem very interesting. Who's adopted it? And the answer is everybody. Everyone is on board with this. Apple on board with it. Amazon on board with it. Google on board with it. Samsung,
that foundation that
Zigbee.
does it, right?
Yeah. And
that is a large group of very large organizations moving in the same direction.
Everyone's on board. They'll see their first devices released this year, and no one will care at all. And I don't know if my prediction. I mean, I'm predicting these things will come out this year, and I'm predicting no one will care, and I'm confident about both of those things. But what I think is more interesting is that this feels like something that ought to be a bigger deal than it is, right? And I don't know whether it's been soft played by all the companies involved because all of them feel like they ought to participate, but none of them actually want it to succeed. It's kind of DOS ain't done till Lotus won't run, right? Or whether it's just an accident that it won't take off, or whether it's going to be that you can do very basic functionality with it, but you can't do detailed stuff. But the idea I can go
watch this space. I am shocked that none of us had heard of this.
This is
what is your prediction?
So the prediction is they will release their first Matter compatible devices this year, and no one will care.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. And
you're not saying no one will care about the devices themselves. No one will care that they are Matter approved or whatever this is.
Some devices might come out which are Matter compatible, and the devices themselves might be cool, but no one will care they're Matter. No one will use it. There will be no ecosystem.
Well, how do you define no one will care? In the same way that the question earlier on about my view of Facebook, Meta VR.
Well, I feel like a reasonably cursory look at the press and how much we've heard about it will be enough. I'm not particularly going to.
There's a whole bunch of released products, for what it's worth.
This is going to be a massive row at the end of the year.
I don't think so.
About this specific one.
I'm not going to fight particularly hard about it. This is almost. I'm bringing it up because I'm astounded that I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
But now the fact that I'd never even heard of it doesn't surprise me at all that you haven't heard of it either. But why? This ought to be the biggest deal going.
Why?
For IoT devices in general, because it produces a whole world.
IoT devices communicating with each other? Why should this be a big deal?
Because at the moment...
Who cares?
At the moment, you want to plug things into your hub, you've got to get the particular kind of hub that works with them, or you've got to have your thing emulate a Philips light bulb.
I'm not saying it's not an important deal, and it's not an important deal that needs resolving. I'm just saying, why should anyone... I mean, I'm sure there is technology that interconnects different sewage systems in countries. We're not talking about that. This is just plumbing, isn't it?
But that, to me, is...
It's important plumbing.
I don't think it will work. And this to me is the sort of thing where when, we call for this kind of cross-group, cross-platform initiative to happen, people will be able to point at Matter 5 years from now and go, well, we did that and no one cared, so we're not doing it again now. It just doesn't seem like a motivator to me.
Right.
It's like people go on and on at you to port your game to Linux, and then you do it and you get 1%. and it doesn't pay for the engineer you had to get to do it or something. And people say, well, maybe you won't do it next time.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Okay, next one. Meta's share price at the end of this year will be 1/3 what it was at the start of this year. So at the start of this year it was $336. It's dropped to about $200. It will be at the end of the year under $100. So there's the opposite, the GameStop one.
So it's already fallen 39.42% year to date, and you think it's going to fall another full 52% from here?
Yep. Under $100 at the end of the year.
So one thing
the last time it was under $100 was 2015.
We have all swung quite aggressively on these, which I like. Under $100 that's a tough. Again, I like it. It's specific. It is measurable.
Yep. I feel like if I'd just gone, it's gone down, everyone would have gone, well, yeah, obviously it's gone down. But I think they'll have a year of trying to do the VR stuff and it dying on its arse. And nothing else happening. Imagine a world in which they bring out the VR stuff and it's rubbish and no one is into it and it just gets slated. Plus techlash legislation, which is primarily focused on Facebook.
Right. Very true.
Right. To the extent that there is a techlash against the industry in general, there is, but an awful lot of it's focused on Facebook specifically. Those two things happen in the same week, their share price goes in the toilet.
So what? In 2021, Facebook generated $114 billion in ad revenuws. I think they're going to be fine.
So we shall see. Under $100 at the end of the year, man.
If their stock price ends under $100, Zuckerberg is not the CEO with nearly 100% certainty. So that part is interesting. The other interesting thing you mentioned, and I can't believe I'm saying the word again, techlash, being aimed at Facebook, and it is. What's fascinating, though, is a couple of, at least in the U.S., and I have not followed the EU legislature quite as closely, but a couple of the U.S. bills that are currently up to be voted on specifically have a delineation of dollar amount, because the whole thing was we don't want to squash startups, we don't want to, we're not regulating innovation, all that. They set the market cap at $600 billion, which because Facebook is down so much, they're actually below now. So these rules wouldn't even apply to Facebook today.
What?
Which is hilarious.
Okay. That is very interesting.
Yeah. That is interesting.
So
So are you saying, Jeremy, that Meta are the underdog?
Exactly.
Which it's even weird to say that in a sarcastic context.
Yeah, so I think this is bold. It's definitely unlikely, but it's a prediction. I would go as far as
to say it's Neuralink levels of unlikely.
Oh, okay, right.
As that apparently has now become a thing in our.
We've got to adopt the Argo, if nothing else. Okay, and then
I'm not happy by it, but I'll use it.
And then two brief bonus ones. Someone is going to have a data breach on the blockchain. Some company will leak private customer data onto a blockchain so it's there forever.
This had to have happened already. With all the breaches and all the Web3 nonsense, I find it inconceivable this has not happened.
As far as I can tell, it hasn't, although I confess I didn't break my back looking. I did look.
This seems like a Bacon, Amazon will release the Kindle One thing. And it's like, yeah, they did that 11 years ago. It's not...
Wow, man. Dude, you're now a byword for bad predictions. This can't be good.
This is not a great
I don't believe this has happened, but this is why it's a bonus.
So this one seems like less of a swing.
Someone's gonna stick your name, face, address, and credit card number on a blockchain forever.
It seems like something that will happen.
Isn't that a depressing thought?
I know, it's the worst. Yes. I am very pleased that this is the only one which involves any of the dreaded words. The B word or the C word.
The W word with the number in it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then
the C with the other C word.
Yeah, the other. An awful lot of the people involved are both C words. It turns out. But my last prediction, which is a bonus because I don't really understand it, I just think it's going to happen. Someone will buy Twitter. I'm not sure who. Because everyone who's in a position to do it isn't going to do so.
no one's in a position. I mean, given the regulation we just talked about, if ARM got bounced, I think there's no company with the money that would get away with buying Twitter in 2022.
God's honest truth. When I thought of this, I didn't really think about the fact that people would want to and get told no. I just thought so, because about half of the venture funded businesses out there basically have as an underlying business model, get loads of attention and then turning it into money is step 3 of the plan. It's like the underpants gnomes, right? And Twitter has literally all of the attention. Every news article now has a tweet in it.
It's difficult to monetize it, but I could see some large organizations saying either the data is valuable or we think the brand is valuable and wanting to acquire them. I think the regulatory environment right now is such that no one would even make a bid, let alone actually try to.
I think if this is going to happen, it's going to happen from a guy in Nebraska who has a brain implant from Neuralink, who is going to use the Neuralink to initiate the purchase.
I confess, I didn't actually think of the fact that people would want to do it, because I think people look at it and go, there's got to be some way we can turn all of this attention into money. And probably they'd do it, and then Twitter would get a lot more annoying at hassling you about money. But it honestly hadn't really occurred to me that people would go, well, we'd like to do that, but we just won't be allowed. So in that case, you're probably right. It probably won't happen because of that reason. I don't know a way of making a sensible prediction, which is people want to buy it. They realize they won't be allowed to, so they don't even bother.
Someone in the boardroom somewhere will suggest buying Twitter seems like a tough thing to do.
Verification is a challenge.
Now Twitter have finally added the killer feature that everybody was waiting for, which is NFT profile pictures. It's an obvious purchase.
So dumb.
All right, it's going to be those people who bought the or tried to buy the Constitution and couldn't.
That was brilliant. The Dow.
That is a glory way to end the predictions, I think. It's great to be back.
Those are the predictions? Yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
We are. It's so good to be back. I didn't miss you guys, but I'm going to say I did.
How very kind of you.
I actually hate you both. No, it is genuinely good to be back and talking shit on the internet again. Thank you, everybody, for listening. What do you think of our predictions? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the community. Go and share what you think, and also what your predictions might be for the year. And we can grumble about your predictions as well. So.
Okay, welcome to 2022, people.
All right. Peace out, everyone.
Later.